It is now after Robot Havoc 7, which is my group's big event of the year, so it is time to look at all of the demo robots, including the one that I didn't show on camera, and then we're going to have a look at how they actually went at the event. But without further ado, let's take a look at that final robot. It's Pac-Man! One of you out there in the comments of the last video did in fact guess that. So before we move on and have a quick look at how these robots actually performed at Havoc, I will say a big thank you to 3D Printworks, my local 3D printing sponsor, for printing these chassis for me, because I was very, very low on time and also very much out of yellow filament as I was working on the demo robots. And obviously Pac-Man needs to be yellow, and they have come out beautifully. The internals of Pac-Man are very, very similar to the rest of the demo robots. They are a 1S LiPo in a AAA battery case, an ESP32, two N20 50-to-1 drive motors, and a 9-gram servo, just like everything else. They are actually kind of a hybrid between the Ghosty and the Hammer, because they are of course a Hammer, but some of the frame and CAD basically came from the Ghosty as well. Pac-Man was an interesting, difficult challenge to get right. I designed a bunch of different ones. At first I wanted a hug design because obviously the Waka Waka mouth, but trying to make that work and fit with the same size as the Ghost was very, very difficult. It went through many, many iterations. All of them failed. Most of them didn't even get out of CAD. I then tried a version that was basically just a flipper like the Ghost, but I wasn't too happy with that, so I finally found online somewhere an image of Pac-Man with a hammer, which I don't know where that's from, but I was like, oh, a Pac-Man with a hammer could work, and here we are. I'm pretty happy with how these actually turned out. As for how the demo arenas did at the event, I had two of them. I'm not sure if that was clear in the last video, but there were actually two demo arenas that I built at the same time and took both of them to Robot Havoc 7, and they went really, really well. They were basically used non-stop for 3 straight days. These robots, between the 8 of them, have gone through over 20 hours of fighting, so that's about 10 hours of fighting per robot. These robots are probably the most fought robots I have ever and will ever build, which is amazing that they are all still mostly alive. I had a couple of servos die, I had one of the buttons for the arcade machine jam a couple of times, but everything was replaceable and everything was fixed at the event fairly easily, and it didn't take too much time, which was good. Also, the kids really, really seemed to love them. Obviously, for like privacy reasons, I didn't do a lot of filming of the actual arenas in use because I did not want to put children's faces and things on a YouTube video, and I certainly don't have release forms or anything like that for those. So here is a very small clip where you can see the robots being driven and hear the kids driving them, but obviously not see them. And realistically, it was like that all weekend. Like, I was working on my own robots in the pits, and I would look over my shoulder just to make sure that things in the demo arenas were going okay, and I would very, very often see kids with massive smiles on their faces, jamming the buttons as hard as they possibly could, and then have a parent leaning over to take photos of their kids enjoying themselves running these demo robots. It was great to see how much people enjoyed these things. I was very, very glad about that. I also got a couple of questions about open sourcing the project and showing off exactly everything that I did with all of these. I like that idea. I think the code in these needs a slight update because at the moment they don't fail-safe properly, which worked for me because all I did was tell kids to take their hands off the controls and then turn off the system, but I would like to change the code in these to fail-safe correctly before I open sourced things. And also looking at my CAD, it is all very rushed. It is all very not quite ready for public access right now. So I am going to look into open sourcing this project. I will see how much time and effort that is going to take me, and I will decide from there whether or not it is worth it, or if I do like a version 2 of this and open source that one instead. Because while these worked all weekend and they worked really, really well and they have all survived other than this particular hammer, which ground out the servo horn in it, I have some very, very minor changes and improvements that I want to do. And one of those, of course, is the fail-safing correctly. So I might look at doing just the version 2 open sourced. I don't know. It is something I'm considering right now, and it's probably going to be a couple of months away before all of this stuff gets released out publicly. And if that does happen, or when that does happen, I will obviously make an announcement about it here and show off the open sourced bit that I have done for these. Anyway, this was great. I really, really enjoyed making these. I mean, it was stressful. It was a lot of work, but it was all worth it in the end. This has been a bit of a weird video for me. It was fairly short. There wasn't a lot of like creation happening in this video. It was kind of more just an update of what actually happened with these things and the fact that, you know, they survived and they still work miraculously. I am surprised and excited about that fact, because that means that there's not really too much that needs to be done to these for the version 2 that I want to do, which is the thing I was a little worried about when it took me so long to build these. I was like, oh, if they don't work well, then a version 2 is just going to be so much more effort to get working and to, like, child-proof is not quite the right word, but make them work when people who are driving them don't have the level of care and attention as somebody who actually built them. A lot of people and a lot of times that I've seen people give robots to the hands of the public drives a robot like they stole it. They have no care for it at all, and you get lots and lots of damage usually out of that type of scenario. So the fact that these survived is really, really good, because it means I'm on the right track to keeping things manageable for a system like this, which I am very, very happy about. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video. As mentioned, we are post-Havok now, so there are lots and lots of fight reports coming out. But yeah, that has been it for this. If you want to see more about Havok, make sure you subscribe, because as mentioned, there is more coming out, and I will see you in the next video.